Welcome everyone to our first Fieldwork Friday. CCC-TPP has been meeting in some community of practice sessions that are a little more formal, and today we're kicking off a few summer meetings so that we can have guest speakers and we can kind of get some more conversation going and more frequent updates. Our next big community of practice meeting is July 31st, but we'll have some Fieldwork Friday meetings spread out throughout the summer too. So we can go to the next slide. So why are we here? We're here because of those reasons. We need more discussion. There's up to date, up to the minute, ready to change in the next hour updates that we can provide. And our goal is that we are getting you information to help plan fieldwork classes. A lot of us at different community colleges have different types of classes. So we'll kind of distinguish between those. We're going to be talking about introductory classes that some have for only 10 hours or 15 hours of fieldwork, all the way up to the CID course, Education 200, which has the required 45 hours under the supervision of a credentialed teacher in a public school classroom. So we'll have a few of these and they'll all be recorded just like our community of practice meetings so that you can go ahead and get the information later if you can't attend. But we're so glad to see you. Please do introduce yourself in our chat and we can go to our agenda. Today we're going to have some introductions in that chat group. We're going to have Renee Marshall, our special guest today, talk about school reopening plans. And then we're going to launch a really exciting project that from our previous community of practice meetings, we feel that this is going to help address a lot of the needs and concerns that you've reported in various Google Forms we've collected, group discussions and breakout room discussions. So we're really excited to kind of kick off a project today, and we'll be seeking people to assist as we grow these work groups. And then Rachel Johnson's going to share some resources as well, and then we'll have some time to discuss. So I would like to welcome you again and invite you to introduce yourself in the chat. And I would like to introduce special guest Renee Marshall. Renee, what's going on up to 9:05 a.m. in California?
Tell me about it, Megan. Welcome everybody, and thank you so much for being here today. We are in 100% of uncharted territory. I feel like I keep saying that, but it's like almost like Twilight Zone. As every day is going on, things are in motion. I'm a developmentalist, and so it reminds me so much of identity development. It's not a stagnant time at all. So, okay, so a couple things about what's going on for our field work and just what's going on in K-12 in general right now. First of all, it's imperative to know, and I'm sure most of you on the line right now know this already, but everything is changing by the minute. Literally, one of the things that I'm doing right now is I'm trying to keep track of, and this is going to sound a little crazy, but I'm trying to keep track of as many different platforms as possible. So that way, as these changes and decisions, or as these decisions are being made and these changes are taking place, as educators, I think it's very important for us to be able to understand what's going on both sides. And normally I don't just say both sides, but right now we are really polarized. And so I just want to share with you some of the things that I'm doing personally, but also some other things that are just kind of best practice suggestions for keeping on top of everything that's happening within the schools reopening. First of all, I mentioned already that I personally like to keep track of multiple perspectives of things that are happening. I like to look at our schools reopening both at the micro level and also at the macro level. I'm a mom of twins that are starting high school. So as a mom, I need to know what's happening in my community, and as a parent in my community, but also as an education leader, I need to know what's happening in my neighboring communities and in our region and throughout the state. And I know many of you are in the same boat. So some of the things that I'm doing right now to keep track of things that are happening at my local level, I am watching board meetings like crazy. I feel like I should be there with like my drink in hand, like, you know, like having a party or something, because I'm showing up to every board meeting. But what is happening is many of our districts are having emergency board meetings right now, or that will take place between today and next Friday. And so this is a prime time for all of us to be watching these board meetings that are happening live to see the decisions that are making within our communities. In addition to that, I'm also, I'm a little bit older, I'm 46 years old, so I primarily rely on Facebook and LinkedIn for my social media platforms. I know a lot of people are on other platforms, but I'm going to share with you what's been working for me. In my town on Facebook, I'm following progressive sites of education, and I'm also following groups that are called things like Make Schools Normal Again. I'm trying to make sure that I'm looking at the side that wants to follow all the PPE and all the guidelines and all that, and then the side that's saying we need to reopen 100%, because these are our customers. We're training future teachers. And so it's imperative for us to understand where our customers are coming from right now and how we can be responsive to them. In addition to that, I also am following our California Teacher Preparation site. We have a website, we have a Facebook site, we have a LinkedIn page, and we are constantly putting things up on that. And later on, I'll share those links with you. I'm also going to share another resource later on, and I will provide the link, but I'm just going to mention it right now. In the last 3 days online on Facebook, there has been a distance learning community that has sprung up so organically. It's been one of the best grassroots things I've had the chance to watch and now participate in. Within the first 3 days, there's over 5,000 people that are teachers that are on a site working together, trying to come up with different resources and linking. So we're already on that site. You would think it's only K through 12. And at first we thought that too, but we started adding our different teacher prep people so we could be monitoring what was happening. And what ended up happening is all of a sudden it opened up and it was like, wait, I'm an early childhood instructor. What are you doing for distance learning? What are best practices for community college? And so it's really expanding. So later on within where I'm discussing, I'm going to talk about that site a little more explicitly and give you the link so you can check it out. But one of the biggest things right now is, you know, we need to be looking at this at multiple levels. If you're a parent, I know it's really tempting to get like so obsessed with your child or children's districts that that's all you're watching, but it's like you've got to step back a little bit and kind of have a larger perspective in addition to the small perspective. I'm going to be totally honest with you about a meeting I attended last night. I attended my local board meeting for the district that my children just left, but that I've taught at all the schools in the district. So I really like to keep on top of it. Last night, the superintendent, he shared that at this moment, they have less than 1/3 of the PPE equipment that they need to safely bring back the kids on August 11th. Less than a month, they have less than 1/3 of the equipment that the government promised. So even as schools are saying they want to reopen and are trying to reopen in blended models or even full face-to-face models, it's important to know that there may be other glitches that happen that make it impossible for it to happen. And I shouldn't even say impossible. It might make it totally unsafe and not reasonable for us to consider allowing it to happen. One of the things I was thinking of when I was on that board meeting last night, I started thinking about back to school donations. I'm not sure about you, but I do significant back to school donations every single year. I've got 2 kids and I always want to make sure that all their teachers are set. We've been in junior high the last couple of years. That's 6 teachers per kid. So it's a pretty big thing to put it together. So I started thinking about it and I thought, oh my gosh, should I just start collecting PPE to be sending into the schools once they accept donations? Just some food for thought. So, you know, we can have government tell us we're ready to go and whatnot, but if we don't have the actual equipment on hand to ensure safety, that will be a huge concern. Now, I want to go to the slide that we're on right now that specifically has a couple links for everybody to check out if you would like to. First of all, I do want to note that our governor is having an emergency meeting at 12, I shouldn't say emergency meeting, it's an emergency meeting for all of us at 12 noon today. We've been waiting for this meeting for the last maybe like 36 hours or 48 hours since we knew that it was coming. Everybody is anticipating that Governor Newsom is going to be talking about one of 2 things, most likely the reopening of schools. There's also a possibility that due to the increases in the virus, that we might be looking at different guidelines of shutdown as a state. So I'm not sure exactly what direction it's going to go, the meeting at 12. I highly, highly, highly suggest for you to log on if you're able to at that time. I have 2 different links on this slide for you that you can access it. You can go to Governor Newsom, either his private page or his his governor page on Facebook at any time and they live stream. Also, I did a link for ABC News because they're going to have a live stream as well at 12 noon today. I highly suggest you watch it because things might change in 2 hours and 48 minutes. One thing though I do want to note, and Tony Thurman talked about this recently, and I have a note here talking about Tony Thurman. He does these media check-ins on his site, and Thurman is really good about having lots of live coverage and videos and whatnot on his site where you can access all the information that's coming out. And he recently stated that schools should proceed with caution. In many cases, that's going to be opening in distance learning. One thing we need to point out though, there are many, many smaller districts in California right now that are not seeing huge numbers of the virus. And they have kids that might not be able to get a remote learning opportunity. There might be issues with Wi-Fi or issues with accessibility. And so I'm not sure what 12 o'clock is going to say. But here's what I'm going to say personally to everybody on this call. If we move forward with some of our schools in distance learning model and some of our schools starting in a face-to-face or blended model, we as teacher preparation educators need to be supportive of however we move forward. But our primary goal will be that our students that are in our care are safe no matter where they're placed or how they're placed. So that's our purview, is how do we make sure that our students are safe moving forward into a fieldwork context for fall. It's going to be hard when some of the districts will make choices that we disagree with, especially if they're partnering districts, if we don't have a statewide mandate. So I just want to share that. Also, I see in the chat somebody asked, what district are we talking about? Just a few moments ago, I was talking about the Castaic Union School District, which is in Santa Clarita. Castaic is a wonderful, wonderful small district, and they are the group that shared last night that they have less than 1/3 of the PPE equipment needed in order for them to safely open. So that was within public discussion on the board meeting. It's public information. Another thing also, if you've missed any of your board meetings, it's important for you to note that you can usually go back and watch them. Sometimes they're limited to being like on the YouTube channel for like a week or something like that, but you definitely want to check it out. Megan, would you mind going to the next slide, please? Megan, would you mind?
Shannon has Shannon.
Sorry, I have two screens open. Okay, there you go.
All good. Well, the hardest thing about what's going on right now is I wish I could say that I have all the answers for everybody, but the truth is I am listening, watching, and learning every single minute myself right now. So I'm just going to give you kind of food for thought and things that I think you should consider. So, okay. Another couple things that we want to get into that we think are really important. First of all, this list, I was still working on compiling this in the last 3 hours. And this list is not exhaustive at all. But if you wouldn't mind clicking a little bit, Shannon, I just want everybody to see how many school districts have called distance learning at this point. The writing is on the walls. I was saying that earlier this week, and I kept telling all my friends and colleagues, just give it a few more days. Things are going to be changing by Friday. So we really are in a situation where things are moving fast, but a lot of districts are making some really responsible decisions. I'm glad to see Megan said Chula Vista 45 elementary schools is already going online. I love that you're saying we need some ideas. Do not worry, because we've got them. You know, I think everybody who knows TPP knows us. We are a solution-based inclusive group, and we're just here because we want to help. That's what it comes down to. So could we go to the next slide, please? Excellent. So the previous slide, it was a couple different slides about all the different districts that are on. I appreciate also that people are adding additional districts that will help us to make our list more comprehensive. As I mentioned to you, this is all like live and happening right now. So I want to share one solution that I mentioned earlier that I'm just going to be straight up and say, every single one of you, if you are on Facebook, you should join this group today. In the last I think it's either 3 or 4 days now, we've had this distance learning educators Facebook site pop up online. I was within like the first 1,000 people that found out about this and jumped on it and immediately started inviting all my different colleagues in teacher prep going, and also my K-12 colleagues going, this is going to be golden. what has happened is this has become this online platform where people are communicating like we have not seen. We have got people sharing, people going, I'm a CTE instructor that focuses on film in 9th to 12th grade. What are you guys doing and how can you help me? We've got people going, I'm a preschool teacher over here. I teach 8th grade this. I teach 6th grade this. I'm a special ed teacher. I teach mild mod. I mean, they are just, it's exploding and it's beautiful. And it started with 2 people who want to do a grassroots movement to get some resources. And right now, our team of teacher preparation, I don't mean to be weird, but we're kind of like infiltrating the site to make sure that this is not just K-12, but this is like human development from birth to adulthood. That's what we need to bring back. And you're going to hear some of our colleagues talking about this, not specifically today, but in other things we do, but bringing back the humanity within education. We need to get back to the human side of education. And especially as we're going into this distance learning model, I'm going to be honest, people are worried about curriculum. Yeah. But I truly, truly believe right now that people are way more concerned with how do I reach those students in an authentic way when I can't physically see them and physically touch them and physically let them know that things are going to be okay. So we're really going to be looking at how do we bring human to distance learning? And how do we elevate that? So within distance learning educators, that's not officially us. Somebody else started it, but we have joined it. It's a collaborative. It seems like it's really inclusive. As of earlier this morning, there was, I think it was 5,300 people that had joined in the last 3 days with another like 1,700 pending. So it's an alive community and I highly suggest you join. Could we go to the next slide, please? Excellent. Now we're going to transition to this other project that we are also working on. Megan and Shannon, I also talked a little bit faster than we anticipated, but I think that'll leave us more time for discussion. Are you both okay with that?
Yes, that's great.
Okay, excellent. And Shannon's going to get into this, but this is a specific response from TPP on how we can assist as we move forward within distance learning. So again, we are a group of volunteers who are just trying to make it better and really trying to make sure that our community as a whole goes back as whole as we can. We want people to be healthy and we want to encourage that. So, and we believe we are big believers in collaboration. So with that, Shannon, could you please tell us about the Canvas Commons EDU project?
Yes, thank you. Yes, we're excited. We're discussing all of these ways that we could best support our instructors across the state. And we decided, you know, a repository is always helpful. And we've had all these Google Forms in different places and we've been sharing them on our website. And we thought, how can we take all of this and really support all of the instructors through this process? And a big push for us would be that we create a Canvas course and publish it to the Commons because we all use Canvas in the state of California at our community colleges. So we are developing that currently. We're excited about that. We are going to have a call to action. I'm actually going to stop share for just a second and reshare that screen with you all so you can kind of see where we're at in the development process of that. And it didn't work, so give me 1 second. Gotta love the fact that it opened on a different screen.
This is just a great reminder for what a lot of our fieldwork students will be dealing with and how we may want to embed some tech training or, you know what I mean, in what we're doing. Is we got to be thinking about what's going to be needed, everybody. And I'm saying that not because Shannon is not tech literate. I am the non-tech literate of the group or the least tech literate. So another
How
learning
funny.
opportunity, right?
For sure. Let me get back there. It's still in the. How funny. My meeting controls are frozen. Megan, do you see them?
No.
I don't have access.
We just see a black screen with a gray bar down the middle.
And I have no access right now. It's very bizarre.
It's okay. Zoom and other things like to update on us. It's our signature
right
signature
feature to our meetings.
Do you mind if I for a minute just talk
Go
about
right ahead.
One of the things that we want to talk about is we're creating this Canvas Commons project, but we realize that we have students that are going to be in fieldwork experiences that are going to range from TK classrooms all the way up to 12th grade classrooms. And so we want to make sure that we can find resources but resources that are specifically at different age levels and different grade levels and different curricular areas. And so one of the things that Shannon will get into in just a moment or two is we're actually going to be breaking down this Canvas work group by age range. And so we've got leadership from Kim from Antelope Valley College and Gina Peterson, and they're going to be leading a sub work group that's going to be focusing on resources for TK to third grade. We've got Michael Wickert, who is from Southwestern College down in the San Diego area. And Mike's going to be focusing on resources for 4th to 5th grade. We also have Shannon, who's from West Hills Lemoore, and she's one of our leads of the COP. Shannon's going to be focusing on resources related to 6th to 8th grade, or your traditional middle school and or junior high years, depending on where your district, how they designate. And then we've brought in Mike Mansfield, who has spoken before with our education COP. Mike Mansfield is a teacher preparation leader, but he's also a leader in K-12 education, and he's had a specific focus within working with continuation students, and he's a fantastic lead. And so Mike is going to be coming in to support us with the 9th through 12th grade resources. And then in the main room of the Canvas Commons, Rosemary from Cuesta College and Megan from Long Beach College are going to be organizing that group. So we're going to have an overall group, like an overall umbrella with subgroups working. Okay, Megan, are you good?
Okay, so within that, that's what thanks, Renee. So yeah, again, we're all volunteering to get this work done through the state of California, and it's going to be a very clean cut, very easy to follow Canvas course that you can download or get through the Commons soon. We'll have some information here on a homepage, and these are buttons that you'll just click that'll take you right to those resources as we develop in the modules. So there's going to be opportunities for the 45-hour course, but there's also opportunity for the 10 or 15-hour course, depending on what your campus runs. And within that, we don't want to mix resources. So we're ensuring that whatever virtual resources we put in the 45-hour fieldwork, we will not include in the other course. So if you are teaching both courses, we're giving you that opportunity to make sure that you're not doubling up in any of those courses. I'll be working with Megan alongside that as well. After our work group, there will be a module and a button here for just other types of resources, not necessarily lessons connected to those courses. So PD opportunities, board meetings, things like that. We'll create a list of opportunities and websites for you as well.
Shannon, I love that we're doing it split into the 45-hour and then the 10 to 15-hour resources, because one of the things I'm so concerned about is for our colleges that have 2 classes, and if distance learning extends into spring, the last thing we want is to have a duplication of experiences in fall and in spring and have them watching the same, the same board meetings or the same resource. It's like we need to make sure that we need to differentiate the curriculum for each of our subgroups. I love that we're doing that from the beginning within the Canvas shell. Thank you.
Thank you. All of these new screens, guys. I'm trying to get to the right one. And I'm going to be sharing this one a bit early, but I'm trying to get back to Fieldwork Friday.
There was a good question in the chat I want to address. I did reply, but special education is something that's been on our minds. So because of the timeliness of needing to get these fieldwork alternative videos and board meeting links and professional development options into Canvas so that we can all share it and have high quality vetted information to share with students and other faculty, we know that there's still a need in special education that's separate. So our goal first is to get ready for the CID course that needs field work that aligns with whichever announcements end up coming from the CSU for what's allowed. And then for the other courses, we of course want to include special ed videos listed with a subheading, but we do want to brainstorm how to further support special education coursework. So we include some videos for now, but really want to go into that in more detail in the future. So
Megan, I'd like to throw something out there. I hope you don't mind. I mean, since this is all we're all just volunteering, we didn't have somebody who could take special ed and designate as that person. So if there's somebody on this call right now who's like, oh my gosh, special ed, that's my jam, I'd be happy to do it.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I date myself so much. But like that would be great. So we purposely, I shouldn't say purposely, we were intentionally waiting on special ed just because we are lacking the leadership to make sure that we have a subcommittee. Right. So if there's somebody who's a subcommittee lead or willing, let us know, and we absolutely will explore it.
Yes, I was about to go into that, what we'd like to do today is see if there's someone, hopefully a few people that want to join the different grade level groups and including special education, because what we're trying to do overall with this project, and I see the question in the chat, is we're trying to create fieldwork alternatives for fall semester. We don't know what winter and spring have, coming for them. Actually, I just got an email, my college is going online for winter, but they said they don't know about spring yet. So long story short, the community of practice meetings, the needs that came from those that everyone participating shared was that we needed this fieldwork alternative. So at the last meeting, people highlighted that they have students go to board meetings, shadow a teacher's aide, do all sorts of alternatives, go to professional development workshops, have conversations with multiple credentialed teachers. So what we're trying to do is first identify what's the CID course going to allow for that core course for articulation purposes, but also for all these other courses. And maybe if your Cal State ends up having a plan that's a little different than other Cal States, we want to be able to make it flexible. So it doesn't mean you do exactly what's in this Canvas shell. It means you have a resource that was crowdsourced, that was vetted, because Shannon, I think, is going to talk about going through the OER and making sure the content's accessible, etc. But the point is, we really want to have a lot of options in there. And the purpose right now is to prep for what are we going to have our students do for alternative fieldwork. We know we haven't heard from the Cal State yet. We know we have to consider the CID course especially. However, right now we believe that we'll have a lot of flexibility. So we're planning for that, and then we can adjust as things change. So back to you, Shannon. I know you want to chat about our plans more.
Thank you. Yes, so we're really trying to focus on the K-12 currently because we can get those resources quickly. Like Renee mentioned, special ed is not our purview in the fact that we've spent a lot of time there. We're really hoping to find an expert in that field that will support as we build. But getting resources in your hands as quickly as possible is our plan. We're hoping to get these done, by the first week of August and out to you all. But what does that mean on our end is that we would love for you to send us as many resources as you can find as well. So on the 31st, we'll be working on that as a work group. But until then, if you have any information, I know Megan put it in the chat. The link is down here below. We're going to be working on collecting resources. So if you have those for us or interested in supporting and working with us, please send them our way. And as I'm getting those, I will be building from the ground up now. Like I shared, I've already started building. And then I'm trying to organize them by grade level within the modules. So if you need a first grade level or first grade video, it's going to be in there under first grade in the modules. Very simple, very easy to find.
And I've got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
I know we're planning to get this launched at the start of August due to the time sensitivity of our classes. Will it be launched and become stagnant, or will it be launched and we can still continue building it during this semester?
So what happens when you add it to the Commons is that it's there, it's saved for everyone to utilize. So if we make updates and changes, we will make them in our course and we will update a new version in the Commons for you.
Perfect. And then we can send an update to let people know it's been updated.
Exactly.
Excellent.
So as we can continue to develop, but it's great because it's just a beginning, resource for you to pull into your course and utilize, so that you're not spending a lot of time searching and researching over and over trying to find the best components. I come from a district that is OER. My entire degree is zero textbook cost for my students. So I will be including OER resources and materials, online coursework for the 45 hours. I have an online textbook that's free for students. So I'll make sure all those resources are in there for you as well. I'm also our special ed instructor. I teach all of our guidance studies courses on our campus, so it's very important to me that everything is properly accessible for our students. So I will be going through this course so that all documentation will be accessible. I will not be including any videos that are not closed caption. That is not accessible for our students. So I'll be working through those processes, checking those videos. I have to make sure they're accessible. And as being an OER college, I will also be going through the process of making sure that I properly attribute everything that is included in that course. So that is our big goal. It's a big goal and it's a lot of work. And so we would really love the support of you all with finding resources if you found them, sending them our way, and we'll be working together to develop this, for the state of California. A couple of components that I'll be including in there are opportunities. Again, we have to look at working with a credentialed teacher. I don't know about all of you on the call. I'm a licensed credentialed teacher. I've kept up my credential. And so we are still part of that process, right? So if we need to be the person that's supporting our students in that aspect through virtual opportunities, then we will sign off on that. That is not outside of the regulations. So let's look at those opportunities and expand. So as Megan and I develop that extra ancillary type resource component in the modules, we'll be throwing out crazy creative ideas in there, especially as we learn more, like as whatever we can plan or think about. Some of those, the content in there might not be materials for you to use for your students, but ideas and thought processes that have come through by discussing all of this with you in the state of California. So we are really looking forward to getting this out to you all, and really hoping that everybody will be able to benefit from it. So again, apps, technology tools, Michael Mansfield shared a few on the last call. That video is available now on our CCC TPP website. But you will be able to receive a lot of that information within the modules as well. So again, looking forward to supporting you all and getting some support from you as well. So thank you, Megan.
I think that we're ready for the next slide, and Rachel has some announcements to update you with for resources.
Hello, everybody. Can I share my screen? Let's see. Wait, oh. Okay. Good morning, everybody. So I am part of the early childhood COP. And we in our COP had been having meetings and throwing out lots and lots and lots of different resources. And to be honest, there were so many to keep track of. I just was losing resources that were so critical. So one night I just sat down and started creating a website for us to house all these resources. It has been growing and growing. We have recently added a whole education component to it. And so I wanted to share this with you today. This is a place for faculty to be able to share and store resources. On the front page when you come in, we have some of the most current trainings that are happening, webinars. We have some current resources. Now, mind you, most of the stuff right now on here is for early childhood, but that primarily is because I'm an early childhood person. And I don't have all the information that you have for education. And so part of the ask that I'm going to ask from you is that I'm going to be looking for people to contribute to this. And you can do that right here, or you can send me an email. There is a link to a quick little Google Doc where you just drop in your information about the resource and it will be sent to me, and then I'm able to upload it onto the website. So we have some current early childhood resources. We have a link to the teacher preparation program. In early childhood, we're in the process of advocating for materials and tools that we need in our world to be able to teach classes. So the work that we've been doing is connected here. There's a lot of discussion right now about anti-racism. And so that we've been graced with a lot of amazing resources. So those are.
I hope you don't mind. I think we should do full disclosure so everybody knows. Some of us that are on TPP are also working on a side anti-racism curriculum for teacher preparation. That is a statewide effort that some of us are meeting on Thursday nights about. So one of the reasons why we're embedding anti-racist education is because we know what's needed, and there's a big gap. And we're working on it. So we wanted to make sure we were proactive. So, but again, I think it's important that I like to be totally transparent. So Rachel, me, and a couple of us on the team are working on some anti-racism curriculum.
Yes, and I would have had that on here anyways, no matter what, because it's so critical in our time right now. We have COVID resources, we have trauma-informed care resources. The way that I've also set up this this website is that I actually just did that this morning, where I've created a whole section for EDU courses. So I'm going to be building out some course resources, some tools to help you make inclusive classrooms. It's so funny that Renee was talking about the distance learning Facebook group. I've been a part of that group and other groups, and I've been finding all of these amazing resources. So my new thing is I've been here this morning while meeting, finding those resources and putting them on the website. This is where I'm going to really need your help, is figuring out what kind of materials we need to have here as a resource guide for you in this section. Early childhood, there's a lot of work right now around ZTC and OER. So we've been working on building this section out. We'll have information about copyright, technology resources. One of the things that I love on this website is we were so concerned about getting video footage of classrooms, because that is a huge need of ours right now in early childhood. So people started throwing out all these video libraries that people have access to. So we built out a whole section for the video libraries, and we have a whole section here for elementary. So when people were throwing those out, I added those here. We have the section that goes more into the trainings that are coming up. I've divided it up into training and webinars, as well as past that are still available for you to be able to access. There are web resources, which are just everything we can find websites wise. I found a blog, Free Technology for Teachers, and they have some great resources on there. I just built out, where did it go? Social media resources. So the two links that you were just talking about, Renee, are right here. I've been adding, we have tools. So one of the things that people have been sharing are different tools that work for them. So like Canva, Screencast-O-Matic. We use in our school, we have this really cool technology called Swivel, which is a little base that you can connect to like an iPad, and the teacher wears a microphone and it will it'll rotate around the room while the teacher moves around the room. And so when they can videotape them while they're working. So we use that in our lab classes, and it's a great technology. So that's available there for more information. And then you can see we have a whole bunch of other sections that are in the process of being built out. I've just been working on just now, I found a couple of tutorial videos through the Facebook groups that I've been putting up here. So my ask to everybody here is that if you have resources that you're willing to share, I will put my contact information in the chat box. I'll put the website link for this in the chat box. And we would love for you to use this as a resource, but I also want it to be useful for you as a resource. So please connect with me and help me understand what's going to work best for you.
Thank you so much, Rachel. And we also wanted to take a moment to show you the CCC TPP website. In the chat, we did share, Renee and I, directly the link to our information, but we can also show you how to get there. And also, we are asking in this meeting for calls to volunteer for our group to work on these different grade level groups for our Canvas Commons project for fieldwork. So we'll show you the Google form too. So Shannon?
Yes. I think I'm events and calendars. All of your information here. Did I miss a step, Megan?
It's doing what it did last time,
I
where
know.
you might have the cookies, but you need to go to the ECE EDU Community of Practice link.
There we go.
Yeah. So some of you were asking where you can get transcripts from our education community of practice fieldwork meetings, and they're right here. Shannon scrolled down to it. So you can get the next meetings information, transcripts, videos, and other resources right here. So that's one question we had. Yeah. And someone said, show us how we get where you are. And so you can scroll up and see, Shannon, the menu bar. Shannon went to menu, and then she went to events and calendar. from events and calendar, what's going to pop up, that's not it. You had to go to the little arrow, because
Yeah.
otherwise I think it takes you to the first events calendar. But we want the ECE and EDU Communities of Practice tab. So you have to deliberately make sure your mouse takes you to that link.
Thank you. Yeah, I do
Perfect.
that every time. I have to remember to do that.
Yeah, it takes an extra second.
Yeah.
So that's where you can get everything related to our Fieldwork Friday and Community of Practice meetings. So in addition, in the chat, we've posted a couple times, and it will be on our slides right here on the website after the meeting. You will see the form that Shannon just pulled up. So what we're doing, and we're going to have an open discussion in a few minutes, we wanted to know if you want to share a document, a resource, a website, a video link, you can go and use this Google form to do so. And also, if you want to assist with one of these groups and go to some regular meetings that we'll have in the next few weeks, you can choose the area. So you can make a comment, I would like to join the group, count me in, or you can simply add files. So you can return to this document multiple times. If you're like, oh, I want to share that, I want to share that, you can just keep going to this Google form and updating it.
We'll do add special ed to the group.
Yeah, of course. We can go in there and add special ed right away to that group.
We've had somebody on the group who has offered to help.
Fantastic. I'll try to do that in a second, but I think it's a good time now to, before we kind of close, to have a chance to discuss some of what we talked about. We do have 44 participants, but we weren't going to use breakout rooms today. So why don't we open it up for a few minutes? Thank you to Rachel for sharing the awesome resource. I think that's so valuable because so many of us are TPP and EDU and in our programs, and we also work together like a guided pathway should, right? When we're in separate departments. But let's kind of open it up because there was a lot of information shared about the school updates and also about this work group called action. So what questions do you have that we can answer, or what comments do you have about what's going on around you? Feel free to just jump in. You don't have to raise your hand.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Regina.
Hey, how you doing?
Good morning.
Great. Thank you all for inviting me to this platform to share. Very proud to be a SPED teacher. I've taught from pre-K to high school. The last 12, 15 years has been middle school, high school. That's been my love jam. And I've seen a lot of trauma in the educational system. And so my biggest concern right now is addressing that impact for the low SES communities specifically. And so I'm really in a position of being able to utilize, I've created a lot of different tools, a lot of different pieces to support this. I got a lot of different resources in part of my research in education leadership with University Pacific. And what I'm really concerned about is with this whole transition, how those things are going to be accounted for and how those are going to be implemented. And so I have a lot of great ideas and strategies on that. Not everything has been tested. I've put a lot of frameworks together. I've put some logic models together. I've done 3 years of this content. And I am concerned about that transition when I think about the students that do not and are not going to be receptive to this distance learning technology and SPED world, especially the kids that have high sensory issues that don't want to touch a computer. Those are going to be left in the gap. The kids in the low SES, I know some firsthand that didn't get technology for 2 months and didn't have access to Wi-Fi, and some have been kicked off because they were needing a place to work on their mental health issues. And I also designed a mental health app as well to support special needs kids, but I didn't have a lot of funding to further connect all the dots.
Regina, there's such a need for what you're talking about here. First of all, before COVID, we had a need for trauma-informed care.
Yes.
Now in COVID, all of our kids are going to need trauma-informed care.
Yes.
And, one thing to note, and this is going to be a district by district decision unless
Sure.
NISA comes in and states that something different at noon today, but there are districts that are going to distance learning for all their general ed students.
Yes.
Planning to do small cohorts of special ed students and or students who need additional mental health support and small counseling groups or small socializing groups. So I know some districts are looking for ways to bring our most at-risk groups together safely.
Right.
But I don't think it'll be across the board. So what you're talking about in terms of creating resources that are related to special ed and related to trauma-informed care, I think is absolutely imperative.
Yes.
I think how we look at trauma-informed care is going to be very different because it used to be select populations.
Correct.
You're going to see an expansive. Personally, in my town last week, you guys, one of our high school students drove down the 405, pulled over and ran into traffic and committed suicide last week. And he was one of those kids where everybody had no indicators, you know? So anyways, the trauma-informed care is absolutely imperative, and we absolutely will support including that on our resources. And we ask that people, as you're sharing, whether it be trauma-informed care or resources for special ed or any resources in general, try to vet as much as you can before you send it to us, because we're going to be getting everything, but that's also, remember, we're all volunteers.
Yes, absolutely. And that's where I'm at. And I actually am designing a mental health boot camp for kids, like a 8 to 10 week session. I'm working with some therapists to get that off the ground. So it can be like a Zoom space.
Excellent.
And that could be another outlet. And we're looking at how many kids can we possibly handle. And that's where the field work comes in, where we're going to need to have those breakout sessions where those are people going to be ready on deck and putting that curriculum together and the training, because that's the biggest part. And that's what my dissertation is actually on, is how do we train those teachers effectively so that they are fully equipped. And I believe my new term that I've created is that they are universally adjusted educators, so that they can be able to be on deck, whether they're gen ed and gen ed teachers specifically are not equipped for those kids that are walking in their room that don't have all the tools and the resources with them in their backpack. And so we want to put those backpacks together for their mental health needs.
I think about when I was in my teacher credential program many years ago. I think we were given one special ed class, and I had a master's in credential. So I went to a 2-year program and I had one special ed class. So you're absolutely right when you say general ed teachers do not have as many tools and resources. So and I think trauma care, I think also, I love to be proactive versus reactive as much as possible. So anti-racism curriculum, trauma care, let's get it going. Let's not
interconnected.
How do we bring the humanity, the human, back to education? Let's always keep that in the forefront right now, everybody. What other resources do we need? What other gaps do we see? What other discussions should we have?
I think that the assessments would be the first thing when the teachers are coming back on the scene, is that they need to spend the first week on not just getting, the classroom acclimated to a schedule, because scheduling is the very first thing that most teachers spend most of their time on. But how do you do assessments in a fun, less invasive way, so you can be able to recognize the kids that are battling anxiety and depression? And I found some tools on that. I'm working on that later on tonight, how to address it specifically for the autistic, because they can't tell you their feelings. They're disconnected, and that's their weakness. And most of the assessments are based on their emotions. So how do you come up with a way to assess those kids and their needs without jumping directly into your curriculum that you want to get your points and your milestones in effectively, without losing what you just said, Renee, is that sense of solid, holistic connection, so that they feel like they're human and not feeling like they're in a petri dish on Zoom. And how do you make education engaging enough and entertaining enough, regardless of their age? Because when I look at it from a collective. I don't care if I have 15 kids in a classroom, whether they're gen ed to sped, I teach them all the same. But I individualize in their learning, and that's where my strength is. I'm not the person that's giving a group discussion unless it's about social skill building and how do we communicate with each other and how do we love and honor each other, and how do we let children teach us what they want to learn? That is the one thing that most educators completely do not understand, is what do the kids already know, so that I can meet your needs. And I've had students to teach that to me, and I end up creating a a class. I called it, it was not a fun Friday. It was more like the kids had an opportunity to teach what they wanted to learn. So they became the experts. And it was so fantastic Fridays is what we called it.
Oh.
And they signed up for it.
I would like to suggest, Regina, these are so many good ideas. I would like to suggest you put it into the form, and what we want to do is make sure we work with you and everyone so that our Canvas Commons can have a segment for each class that can go into these best practices. So in addition to finding high quality instruction of a teacher doing something like your Fantastic Friday, etc., maybe there's a professional development style video, TED Talk alternative that we can also add, because some of us are going to find that we don't need, or that we have that flexibility, and our students can attend a board meeting, or they can get some PD in addition to watching just a classroom teacher teach. So that's what I would like to invite you to do, because this is really great, and I want to capture it in our Google form and to work with you to make sure that we can address that. I see other people really nodding their head too. So let's catch that. Does anyone else have anything to share? I did update special ed. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Megan,
and make a general comment too in the Google form.
Next person who's going to comment. One thing to think about, you guys, as Shannon mentioned earlier, a lot of us are still credentialed. I have my administrative credential and my teaching credential. I keep everything up to date. And so why don't some of us also make videos where we see gaps, and then we do, like, a little webinar or something, and we make our own videos and we put them up. They don't have to be an hour or 2 hours. It could be 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Let's talk about
even a panel discussion.
Absolutely. Yes. Let's talk about behavior management in the virtual world, and what does that look like? Let's talk about, there's all sorts of things that we could bring up that would be relevant. So maybe as our groups are exploring the different resources and we're putting together the sites more, maybe then as we see the gaps, maybe we become the gap fillers.
For sure, Renee. I even plan on, I actually have already been creating videos for students and pulling, like, half my family now are teachers, so I've been pulling them and making them make videos with me. So utilizing those tools, and I'll be honest, the recordings that we've created this summer through the COP, I'll be sharing some of those snippets with my students to say, look, this is what we're doing, this is how we're preparing. And so, it's going to change constantly, like using this to build that critical thinking and having them create new solutions and ideas.
Awesome.
I think what's really important is we want it to be living, and we want it to be a large group that contributes to this. This is not about TPP. This is about teacher preparation, California's teacher preparation workforce. You know what I mean? And how are we training this workforce? So this is about CSUs, community colleges, K-12s. This is about inclusivity and everyone coming together. So I really appreciate this conversation. Thank you, everyone.
What else are we missing? What else should we consider getting into our Canvas Commons project? And we're hoping to see some of you fill out our responses, which now includes special ed in a general category too. What are we missing? Type in the chat. I know Michael has shared Pear Deck. It's now on the other website because Rachel's updated it. This is great.
Megan, if we have time, I think it'd be great for the different subcommittee leads to just say hi. So that way we see who Mike Mansfield is. And I do know that Kim was having trouble getting into Zoom because she was driving. So I'm not sure if she's officially with us, but if we have time, we may want to do that.
Right. So Kim and Gina are going to be TK3. Is one of them here?
I am. Good morning.
Yay.
This is Gina Peterson. I'm literally multitasking on 2 Zooms. Never been done.
Oh, wow.
And so I heard my name and I perked up a bit. Happy to be a part of this, and anyone that has any kind of information, please help Kim and I put it together. It's such a high demand, and so whatever you can share, we'd love to hear from you. And I think, did you load up all of our emails so people can contact us?
They are on our final slide, which we will show soon. And
perfect.
Same contact information is on previous.
Awesome, Gina. Also, people can submit their information via the form that was shared earlier, and then we'll make sure that gets to all the subgroups. Yes. So that way, if you don't designate and directly go to the person, we'll make sure we get it through that venue to everybody.
Right. We're hoping to use that form for all submissions of documents and also to get your information in one place so that we don't miss it if we don't catch it in the chat. So Michael W. isn't here right now for grade 4 to 5 to do an introduction, but Shannon, you've been chatting, so you're 6 to 8.
Mike is out celebrating his 20th wedding anniversary.
Woo-hoo.
We're so happy he's not here today.
Yes, great point.
But we do have Mike Mansfield.
Grade 9 to 12, Mike.
Yes, I'll be your mic for today. So yeah, I'm a K through 12 specialist. I work at Continuation High School as well, and I'm also in the teacher prep side on the in the college area. So yeah, I've got a lot of experience all over the place. Personally, at home, I've got a little one that's going to be starting TK virtually, so we'll see what that's like. So I'm doing TK, elementary, then high school, and then college. So I've got everything covered this year, and I've been compiling resources like you wouldn't believe. So yeah, nice to see everybody.
Awesome. And Mike is faculty at College of the Canyons, and he's also faculty within the William S. Hart High School District. And I think that's everybody. Is Rosemary on right now?
I think she was. Rosemary and I are going to be in the general room where we're going to kind of cover those, fieldwork handbooks, resources that you'll use that kind of are tailored for COVID response and things like that.
I'm here.
Hey, Rosemary.
Hi.
Is there anything you'd like to share, Rosemary, before we?
Well, no, just that we're getting together a bunch of great resources for students. And I've already started a little document that I'll get to Shannon as soon as possible so people can kind of start thinking and planning. They're not out in limbo like a lot of other people. So it'll be fun, looking for good ideas.
Awesome. So you can see on the screen that we have some more Fieldwork Fridays planned. We are super thrilled to announce that Assistant Vice Chancellor special guest next meeting is Marquita Greenough-Shire, and we get to hear a CSU update. So please tune in or follow for that recording. That won't be a morning chat. That'll be at 1 p.m. on August 7th. And then we were thinking about an open forum, purely time to chat, break out, and take a look at the Canvas Commons that we hope to have ready in early August, and just wherever we're at, have a chance and a time saved so that we could talk to each other about it. So no big agenda, just time for us to process.
The vision for the 21st, that it would be a Friday afternoon and we all be sitting down, relaxing.
Yes, I like the solo cup.
Just relaxing, talking about field work. No, but the idea would be like a casual happy hour where we're all getting together and just hanging out. But we wanted to do it within the workday, just so that way people would be able to join us. So I'm sorry to be showing my red cup with water as a sample, but
it's for the visuals in us.
And we are trying to be responsive also by holding our meetings at different times, because that was requested. We're also doing different days for the COPs versus the Fieldwork Fridays versus the coffee chats. So we're just trying to be accessible. So I love this. Somebody said a zappy hour. I love it. But we're trying to be accessible, and we want to make sure that we're here for you. And we're all here together is what it comes down to for the next couple months or maybe longer.
Right. And so for these Fieldwork Fridays, remember that Shannon has been sending the invitation out to our list. So if there's someone that you'd like to join, we can get that in person updated, and they can also have the link shared. But if we go to the next slide, so we can make sure we're mindful of the time and we can hang out a little longer for anyone that still wants to chat. Remember, we've been growing this resource page. So at the last COP meeting, we added possible scenarios for fieldwork, which were a snapshot on that day and probably have already changed since then, to be honest. And then we have the CSU memo and a sample fieldwork waiver. So someone did ask me about those in the chat. That has the language for COVID. So we've shown you how to find it on the website, but if you need any help, just let us know. So the next big COP meeting is going to be July 31st, and that has more of a focus on these Canvas Commons projects. We're going to break out into sessions so that you have time to contribute something if you hadn't yet. And so that's something that we hope some of you are going to be joining us through that Google form and getting in touch so we can be working before all these upcoming meetings so that we have a final product to show. But if you're not able to do that, come to this meeting and you can contribute like your one favorite document at least, or one favorite resource. So long story short, thank you so much for coming to our Fieldwork Friday. We want more conversation. So we're going to plan that for one of those Fieldwork Fridays, but we have a very special guest next time as well. We can stay on a little bit to answer any questions, but does anyone else have a final thing for the whole group?
I just want to thank everyone for continuing to participate and be here with us and explore ideas with us. The best thing about teaching and working with teachers across the state, we don't really have to know each other well, but we all have the same interest and same goal in mind, and that's a heart for our students. So I appreciate you all being here.
Also, if you make sure to chime in, or not chime in, but make sure to tune in at 12 noon today, everybody. It's going to be some exciting news, I think. So we'll see how we move forward after that information comes out.
Absolutely.
Will you send that link for 12 noon today? I came into the meeting very, very late. So would you send it to everybody that's in this?
I'm seeing some things in the chat about websites and how to access. So if you scroll back in the chat, you can capture website information, and I can also get it to you if you hang on.
Great to see so many faces today. I see some of our CSU and K-12 partners too, which is wonderful.